Hello, and welcome back to the Legal Dungeon, the unique mix of thriller and Pokemon fight, complete with defense statistics and hit points. It'll make sense, don't worry. So, as we left off last time, we had just let off a man who's definitely guilty of other crimes, but not the crime he was accused of, frustratingly. Now that meant that the chief of our police department is now up the wazoo, because he was kind of banking on us not doing that. So we could be for a little promotion soon. But we're now about to investigate a death by abandonment with 5 different little paths. So this is going to be a whopper. I'm going to try and suck a little bit less, although no promises, obviously. Duty to protect, Chapter 3. Rail worker found innocent in abandonment case. The Supreme Court found A rail worker indicted of abandonment, to be not guilty. Station manager A discovered B, a homeless person, lying on the ground of the station waiting room. B had broken ribs and was too inebriated to get up by himself. A dragged B out of the station and provided no further aid. B was later found frozen to death in the cold. The prosecution indicted A for abandonment. However, the court ruled that as the station worker was not legally obligated to help the homeless person, abandonment could not be applied in the case. So, this makes something else make more sense, which I'll explain in a second. I'll explain it now because I can pause. So, in the last dialogue, one of our juniors was interrogating someone who basically was investigating that last case and was trying to find the worker guilty, but obviously, as we saw, it was thrown out because he didn't have any obligation to help him. So little Jane is on our case again. So it's June the 1st. How can I help you? Hello, Criminal Division 2 Team Leader Lieutenant Jane Blue. Such a good ring to it. Lieutenant Jane Blue. This is a case regarding a civil servant's role as a protector. There is something called Good Samaritan law. Now, in medicine, this has some interest, so it can be applied. It is a law that punishes people who ignore people in need, even if the person in need was not in imminent danger. It is institutionalization of morality and ethics into a law, stating that one cannot ignore those in danger. However, within our criminal laws, some crimes are indirect exemptions and not enforced as legal obligations. This is because punishing all bystanders by regulating morality for communal safety might oppress individual conscience and freedom under the guise of legalism. Indeed. So the law must be used sparingly when applied to morality and ethics. In keeping with this outlook, let's begin writing the investigation verdict. As always, Legal Dungeon giving us lots to think about. So, okay, we've got some updates to the system. So we've got the chat service we saw last time, which was a pain in our side because everyone was talking to us. So Forge, the criminal clue conversions analysis system, implemented. I'm assuming we'll come across that soon. So we got a B for each, and we got an end of year bonus. 5 mistakes allowed. That was 6 previously. Right, let's see what people are saying. So Frank. Okay, let's say George first then. He's got a lot to say. Did you hear? The Information Division captain and his deputy got into a fight. Hello. Drama. The Info Deputy reported an unknown death case. I'm going to start again. The Info Deputy reported an unknown death case in the county to the chief without letting the captain know. So the Info Deputy still supports the chief. I guess he's blind to what's coming. The chief saw the axe. Well, they did grow up together. Same high school, same university. Guess he's with the chief till the end. Their fates are entwined. Which reminds me, this case is related to the mayor. But the chief isn't giving us any orders. Do you think he gave up on becoming Deputy Assistant Commissioner ever since he fell out of favour with the chairman? I suspect you might be right, George. Frank is saying, I know what Sergeant Vetter is saying, but I'm not going to try and arrest every civil servant just because a drunken man froze to death on the street. The cause of death is unnatural. I can't let this go. Someone must take responsibility. Interesting. So are we going to find actually that he was not just didn't freeze to death, maybe he was attacked? And Frank, Patrick Moon, who is probably my favourite of the gang, We received an award from the Provincial Police Agency, all thanks to you, team leader. The subject scores chief gives out always higher because of you. So I'm going to focus on apprehension points. I also need to get onto that promotion list to take advantage of all the connections I've made. Hopefully Sergeant Vetter earns his promotion. I'll show you how valuable I am to the team. Patrick is such a go-getter. We like Patrick. Frank, I don't know, Frank freaks me out, and George is bad news. These are my thoughts. Right. 17 pages, so slightly shorter than last episode's epic. 26th of May, 2007. To Chief of Station. Title, Unnatural Death Report. This is like a coroner report. So, body found 26th of May, early in the morning. It happened at the street. A street. Unnatural death by obscured cause. So, the name of the guy is Ringo. That's all we know him by, Ringo. He's a man. We don't know his address. The discoverer was a Flower County worker, Hank Gibson. So the cause of death, proposed by Paul Sutherland, Dr. Paul Sutherland, MD, was hypothermia. Time of death thought to be 5 a.m., so 3 hours prior to discovery. The deceased was lying on the street with pants down to his knees, with facial and occipital hemorrhages. Was he trying to go for a wee and fell forward? That's my initial take on that. To Chief of Station. This is a text version of that report. I hereby report on an investigation about Ringo as follows. Telephone call with Hank Gibson, age 38, male, the first person to discover the body, on 26th of May. The following was collected by calling the person on the phone number 4989. State your name and personal information. My name is Hank Gibson, and this is my resident number and my address. What is your occupation? I work as a civil servant in the Flower County office. When and where did you find the corpse? On May 26th at 8:10 on the street in front of the Flower County office. Please explain the situation at the time of discovery. At first I thought it was a homeless man huddled up and sleeping. Everyone was passing by, but as a county office employee I tried waking him and found that he wasn't breathing. Did the deceased have any notable characteristics? He reeked of alcohol and his pants were pulled down. He also had blood on his face. Are there surveillance cameras that show the inside and outside of Flower County office? There's one that faces the front entrance. If you tell me an exact time, I can send you the footage by mail. How does a night shift work at the county office? At night we work in pairs, guarding, spelling, the entrance and patrolling around the building. The workers on duty last night were Donald Gord and Jordan West, who both work at the Transportation Division. Now, Jordan West was who we were questioning in that last cutscene. So this is a information on Donald Gord, one of the... Oh, this is going to become a suspect. Okay, so this is the surveillance footage from the worker. Screenshot of surveillance camera footage from the site of death submitted by Hank Gibson, the employee that we just spoke to. As the person who moved the deceased to the street was recorded on surveillance camera, when asked on the telephone about his identity, Hank Gibson testified that person was Donald Gord, who worked the night shift May 26th and has been confirmed as a suspect for death by abandonment, and they've attached a copy of the photo. So photograph 1 is the suspect standing next to the deceased for about 20 minutes, view blocked by an umbrella, okay. And photograph 2, suspect returning after moving the deceased to the street on a wheelchair. Photograph 1 is the suspect standing next to the deceased for 20 minutes, but we can't see. And then he's returning after moving the deceased to the street on a wheelchair. Interesting. So the suspect is Donald Gord, and they're questioned by Frank. Good old Frank. Please state your personal information. My name is Donald Gord, my resident number is as follows, and this is my address. What is your occupation? I passed the civil service exam early this year, and now work as the Flower County Transportation Division. Let's just slot that in, but we'll keep reading. Where were you from midnight to morning on May 26th? From the evening of the 25th to the morning of the 26th, I was on night shift, so I was in the staff room on the first floor of the Flower County office. How does a night shift work? 2 people work as a team during the night. Usually we alternate shifts, staying up from 6 AM to 1 AM, and then from 1 AM to 8 AM. On the 25th, I worked the latter phase, from 1 AM to 8 AM. Do you go out to patrol during the night shift? Yeah. Usually we start work with a full sweep in and out of the county building, usually once at 6 PM and once at 1 AM. The investigator shows a photograph of Ringo to the suspect. Have you seen this person while on patrol during your night shift? I remember. He's the one I found on the bench in the county office garden. This person was found dead the next morning. Please explain in detail your encounter with the deceased. Christ, I didn't know he died. Well, it was my turn. At around 1:10 on the 26th, I went on patrol and saw him on the garden bench inside the county building, and he was lying down. He seemed drunk, so I went to the office and brought a wheelchair, put him in it, then moved him outside the building. What did the deceased look like when you saw him? He wore a sweatshirt, and honestly, he looked like a homeless guy. His breath reeked of alcohol, he was asleep, and his pants were down halfway. He didn't wake up no matter how hard I shook him. The deceased was bleeding at this time. Did you not see this? I didn't. I just thought he was a drunken homeless person. How could I have known he was unconscious just because the back of his head was cracked? Did you call the police or 911 after you saw the deceased? No, I didn't do anything after that. Why didn't you call? I became a civil servant determined to work the county office, not to babysit the homeless. Since you're a civil servant, isn't it your duty to protect and help the homeless as well? I was following the Flower County safety regulations and doing my job. If the regulations said, when you find a homeless person, call 911 or the police, I'd have done so. The deceased had his pants down, reeked of alcohol, and was unconscious. Didn't you think that he may have had some medical problems or was in need of help? Officer, can you distinguish between a passed out drunk and someone about to die? He looked like a drunk homeless person. I had no idea he was going to die. How was the weather on the dawn of the 26th? It was raining and quite cold. Do you testify that your statements are true? Yes, they're all true. So this is Jordan West, who is the other man on shift. So, what is your relationship? Oh, a question, of course, by your boy, Frank. What is your relationship with the suspect? We are co-workers at the Flower County Transportation Division. During the night shift on May 25th to 26th, where were you on patrol? I did the early shift on the 25th and was relieved at dawn on the 26th by Donald. Have you ever conversed with the suspect regarding the deceased at the time of the night shift? Even after being relieved, we usually wait a few minutes till the next person is done patrolling, so before I left, Donald came back from his patrol and spoke about the deceased person. Please tell me what you remember about the conversation you had with the suspect concerning the deceased. Nothing special. He said, a homeless man was sleeping on our bench. If he dies inside our building, his family will come at us like wild animals. So I kicked him out. The night shift's dangerous. I think that was about it. Did the suspect mention the state of the victim upon discovery? Actually, I did ask him why he thought the man might die, but he quickly said he seemed healthy, like a healthy homeless man with no injuries. Why didn't you try to help the homeless man after hearing about this? I thought he was gently removed from the building after being woken up, not dragged out. As he took the homeless guy out the back entrance, I didn't see him out in front of the office. And we've done a background search on Donald and found that he's been charged with injury and fined $1,500. Let's read about this injury charge. So this is a case that occurred on March 11th, 2003, a long time ago, at 11:10. Upon discovering the victim, male, 62, sleeping on a bench, the suspect, who was drinking alcohol with friends, yelled "filthy scum" at the victim and immediately hit and kicked the victim's face, ultimately smashing the victim's skull to the ground, causing a parietal laceration, which required 5 weeks of treatment to heal. So, he has a history of attacking people sleeping on benches. Donald, this does not look good, mate. Interesting, it does prompt you to read their criminal record. I just didn't do it. I just didn't do it last time. Right, we should have read that. Right, the applicable law here is death by abandonment. That's not the law. That's what we're charging him with. Let's look at the actual law. Abandonment, which we should probably read. That's why it's getting you to do this, so you read it. So these are different. These are different. So we're charging him with death by abandonment. So abandonment is a person who abandons something they are legally or contractually obliged to aid. May be sentenced to a maximum. So that's just simply abandoning something you're legally or contractually obliged to aid. Persons may include the elderly, a minor, or any person in need of help. So a person in need of help refers to someone who cannot avoid life-threatening dangers or physical harm due to the inability or difficulty of carrying out basic everyday activities without the help of others due to mental or physical deficiency. Abandonment is an act or inaction which causes danger to the life or physical body of a person in need of help. Okay, so define the term of a person in need of help. The criminal law applies abandonment only to persons obligated by law or contract and cannot prosecute persons based on a perceived social responsibility. Interesting. There is a case in which a victim and its defendant were walking in close proximity when the victim fell off the road and eventually died in the stream below. In this case, the defendant had no legal or contractual duty to protect the victim, and no attempt at rescue was made by the defendant, but was found innocent. Because it's not just based on your perceived social responsibility, you actually have to be contracted by law or obligation. Interesting. As the police failed to protect the victim, who fell unconscious on the street, and exploited the situation for criminal investigation, it is acknowledged the officer's actions and methods were severely inappropriate. However, since this is a personal issue between the officers involved and the victim, it has no legal bearing on the case. Furthermore, as the police were watching in hiding, and the defendant knowingly committed the crime... Ooh, entrapment? Why is entrapment getting discussed? Furthermore, as the police were watching in hiding, and the defendant knowingly committed the crime, the responsibilities of the officers involved in the appropriate investigation method for entrapment must be handled separately. Thus, the indictment to the defendant is considered illegal. Not considered legal. Considered legal. Why is it talking about that? That's curious. Anyway, so death by abandonment it's here, sorry. A person who has caused the death of another through committing the crime abandonment shall be sentenced to minimum prison. 3 years in prison. And there's no precedent for that, interestingly. Okay, so the applicable law is death by abandonment. Great. Little Jane, hit me up. Abandonment is defined as exposing the life or physical state of a frail individual, either young, old, or suffering from a disease, to mortal danger, or finding the individual in a life-threatening situation and doing nothing to aid or protect. When the threat to the person's life or physical body results in death, abandonment changes to death by abandonment. The criminal facts of the case are the suspect's duty to protect, abandonment, and resulting death. Okay. So let's just fill in these bits. Abandonment date was May 26th. The abandonment was the same day, no? No, the date of death was this one. Cause of death was to be hypothermia. Situation for help. Well, he was drunk. We're saying he's severely intoxicated. This is all just facts, though. This is all facts. Abandonment date, isn't it just the same day? Well, the site. Okay, well we... No. No? Site unrelated to the crime. Was it, though? Is it actually where he was left? So he moved him in a wheelchair and dumped him outside. Does he say where he left the body? Yeah, so that's the situation. He was incapacitated, effectively. The site was bench and the inaction when he didn't call the police, basically. Didn't alert the authorities. Yeah. So civil servant, on the date, was patrolling inside. He found Ringo. Spilling of alcohol, his trousers were removed. In such a situation, civil servant is expected to have 911 call. Oh Christ, George is on the phone. He moved the victim to the wheelchair and dumped him in the street. He died of hypothermia at 5 AM of the same day. Thus, suspect is charged with abandonment. Was he already dead, though? Was he alive when he found him? That's my question. When was the death? They're saying time of death, 5 AM. You could question that, couldn't you? Right. Oh, here we go. Oh. So he's talked to the pathologist. There's some truth in what Frank said. We need to persuade him somehow. I've loaded the file. Go ahead and open it. If a criminal fact has been recorded, then you'll need to edit it. What are you entering for cause of death? Acute kidney injury. Cardiac arrest, hypothermia. This is really interesting. This is like our job. What are we entering for the cause of death? The cause of death is still hypothermia. No, I am familiar with death certificate format. We need to enter an immediate cause of death in the criminal facts section. The doctor edited it because hypothermia is indirect cause of death. Okay, so you have to record the... So the main cause of death was switched to cardiac arrest due to acute kidney failure. Fine, so it's saying, as new investigation files were added, we must edit previous criminal facts. Please change the victim's cause of death to immediate cause of death, edited by the medical professional. Okay. So, cardiac arrest caused the death. As such, the victim died of cardiac arrest due to acute kidney injury. So what do I think at this point? He was meant to, by his rules, inform the police. But I think the question is, was he dead when he was found? That's my... Well, that's what's not clear, actually. Okay. It's me and the Crim. He's got 5 points. He's got 3 health points. He's worth 5. He's a big fish. So if a drunk dies, all those who didn't help are criminals? Shut up. Why does cleanup analysis crap? We'll begin by entering the objective facts from the suspect's testimony. I'm going to cough, excuse me. I'm back. Right, we begin by entering the objective facts from the suspect's testimony. This case relates to the role of a civil servant, thus the suspect did not argue about what he did and didn't do. I need to target you to earn points. That is cynical, and You believe your character in a role-playing game, huh? Meta af. I'm not some monster you can kill for experience points. Well, you know. Then what is your role? Let's say you're a monster. Then your testimony is loot. I'll use a forge to craft my loot into something useful. Drag in 2 pieces of loot. One testimony about the suspect's actions, and another about his inaction. Oh, it wasn't. Oh, Jesus, I wasn't even joking. So, what's he said? Has he tied himself up in a little bit of a problem? Has he tied himself up into a knot in his statement? So he's gonna. So I think the problem is, at one point he said that the guy looked okay. So he says, I don't think he's going to die. But he's also said to his mate in his statement, if he dies in our building. Oh, that's not it. I think that's the important bit, though. Does he say he looks well? I think we're on to... I think this is it, though. Jane, please move. I had no idea he was going to die. There's definitely incongruency in what he said here. We just need to find the right wording. How does someone sleeping on a bench? If he dies inside the building, he comes at wild animals. So he thinks they're gonna. Why he said the man might die? He's either gonna help the. Just that by itself is. What about how they beat like a homeless man to death before? Remind me how this works, Jane, please. I want to be able to do this. Now, hang on. I thought he was huddled up and sleeping. But then you said if he dies, it'll be our fault. Damn. Where was the sleeping comment? Where was that sleeping comment? I've lost it now. No, so this is not. This is a statement by the person that found the body. This isn't probably relevant to this. They don't give me the crafting information again. Can you say your piece again? Can you speak again? Nope. Does this explain it? Crafting? Is there a crafting menu? So action and inaction. So his inaction all national civil servants should... Oh, hang on. Duty and kindness, and all the civil servant must carry out responsibilities in the kind and fair manner, benefiting a servant of the people. So your own law suggests you have to... So he had to actually call the police. But we can't put that in. Action and inaction. You've been outside the building. It was cold. So the bit where he says that his breath, he was clearly very unwell, and he didn't call the police. You're killing me. The whole point is he's not just... He's not just some drunk guy, he's really... You've admitted that he reeked of alcohol and he didn't wake up. So you say you didn't see him bleeding, and then you say this. Might have to give up with this. He admits he put him outside. Oh no. I have read the file. I've read the file. I read the file at length. Which bits of evidence are we not using? What haven't we used at all yet? Jane, move. So, he's next to the deceased. He returns, so... He was there for a while, though. But maybe not via the pictures then, but that still is... That goes against what he said. So, he said he put him in a wheelchair. Let's lose this. So, action. So you put him in a wheelchair, dumped him outside. He didn't do anything after that. So, action, inaction. That's it. That's all you did. Oh, thank God. Right, so, yeah. That's pretty good. So you moved into the street and you did nothing else. You admitted you moved the victim to the street and did nothing else, right? Yeah. So what? Am I obligated to help a drunk I just met? Yes. Yes, you are. I perform my duties to a T. I'm not his guardian. A valid point. Abandonment is a crime that can only be committed by those who are imbued by the duty to protect by law or contract. In other words, a suspect can only be accused by neglect if the duty to protect is written out in the contract of a relevant law. According to the investigation file, the suspect and victim never signed a personal contract, but an applicable law for a duty to protect the country was searched. We know, yes, we've seen this before. It's in his... It's in this. Oh, how do we use it? Like, it's his job. You're meant to do that. That is your job. No person may sleep inside the building without reasonable cause. An employee of the Flower County may remove a person who violates Article 1 from the building. But there's overriding law against that, though. Maybe that is just what you do. Maybe that is just... Flower County regulations. Oh, we can just link this directly. Okay, right. Okay, fine. Civil service carrying out responsible kind of yeah, I mean, this is cut and dry, right? Nope. Must be this one then. What are you talking about? You have a duty of kindness. Yes! Shot through the heart, and you're too late. The National Public Service Law plainly defines your duties. You're a civil servant, a servant of the people. A homeless man you just met is no exception. So, because of an abstract duty clause, I have a specific duty to rescue people. That's absurd. And I have a question for you. Is an intoxicated person in need of help according to the law? Not all of them, no. Why do we discuss whether or not there was legal duty to protect, when the victim was not in need of help in the first place? A person who is simply intoxicated is not legally deemed in need of rescuing. Furthermore, it is difficult to discern whether a person is intoxicated and sleeping or actually needs help. Thus, it is important to confirm the state of the victim when the encounter with the suspect took place. So, few thoughts on this one. This thing about him looking like he might die, but also just the state he found him in, right? His trousers were down. Trousers, yeah. That's the weak argument. The victim was not simply drunk. He didn't even gain consciousness when shaken. And his pants were down. It was quite unusual. Even if you testify you were unaware of his bleeding, claiming that you were unaware he needed any help, that's a really hard sell. Even if you hire the most expensive lawyer, that's still a hard sell. Fine, let's say he needed help. Even so, how could I have possibly known he would die? Do you think every homeless or drug person lying on the ground's going to die? So you're saying what you did was abandonment, but your actions were not the cause of death. Death by abandonment is an additional crime that occurs when death results from abandonment. In order to punish additional crimes, our national court requires predictable proof of the resulting crime be present at the time of the original crime was committed. In other words, a suspect can only be punished for death by abandonment if the suspect predicted that the victim may die from abandonment. In order for the suspect to prove the prediction was not possible, two things must be examined: the victim's cause of death, confirmation that the suspect could not have predicted the resulting death. So he's put the cause of death as hypothermia. But he could have predicted it, because it was cold. Yeah. That one's actually a bit more straightforward. You did predict that he would die. How can you know what I was thinking? I'm not mind reading, I'm deducing based on evidence. You knew it would rain that night, and that prolonged exposure to rain could cause a drop in body temperature, leading to death. Anyone with common sense could have predicted that. Not me. I've got no common sense. Yeah, probably not, but I wouldn't brag about it, mate. Luckily, the judgment of law is based on average intelligence, and it's clear you killed him. So why are you saving me? Shouldn't I be punished? I've recorded the victim's death as an illness, not hypothermia, in the criminal facts. We can't punish you. You're not guilty. I've been had. Dr. Sutherland? You've screwed me here, mate. Sutherland has absolutely sold me down the river. I see. I was correct in my in my death certificate signing. That's. I kind of feel the frustration I think this game is, well, at times intentionally and times unintentionally trying to create. So it was really irresponsible of him, but the cause of death was cardiac arrest, apparently, which could not have been predicted. The captain is calling you. Oh, God. I think it's because of the mid-year apprehension scores from the Provincial Police Agency. The secretary says the chief literally kicked the captain on the shin because our scores. On the shin! Be prepared to get burned tonight. Yeah, we've actually, indicted no one. in, my entire tenure in this role. Which ain't gonna look good for the scores. Oh, we're in trouble. Oh. Team leader, you know Patrick's aiming for promotion, right? As well as the team rookie, Rivers. I don't like Frank, but he does need to go up rank soon. He's almost 30. Yeah, well, we quite like Frank. I thought that if they missed out on promotions this year because of bad scores, that's on them. But the promotion evaluation reviews 3 years of performance. The scores your team have been earning recently might hurt their overall 3-year level. Try telling those guys, who for 2 years have been slaving for a promotion, to forget about all their hard work and start from scratch for the next 3 years? Can you tell them that? If you're human at all, you don't have the heart to say so. Team leader Jane Blue, it's already June. You don't have much time left. It'll be too late to try to bounce back later. The performance deadline is on October. You follow? I hear you loud and clear. You seem like a person who understands. So, why are you handling your cases like this? You're ignoring the guidelines from above. If you're so smart, why did you drop the precious 5-point case with a dead body? Because I got the wrong... Sutherland screwed me. The chief... Oh, phone. Sorry, phone. Get back to you in a second. What? Whose number is this? To the caller. Ah, yes. I understand. As you say, sir. Blue, the Provincial Police Agency's chief orders just came in. He says to give you and your team the highest objective scores for the first half of the year. He's already called the chief. Why? Jane. Police all around the nation are calculating their scores to the third decimal point and competing madly. But you climb into a lifeboat and are saved. I bet all the other fools thrashing their paddles seem so pathetic to you. As for me, I've already given up on becoming a senior superintendent. My retirement's nearing. I don't care if I'm the lame duck. But the chief, he's different. Chief earned the rank of senior superintendent faster than any one of his classmates from the police university. Back then, they didn't even have this objective scoring system. We were always arguing about, do you think the sly fox was trying to rise the ranks by putting all his bets on the chairman? A word of advice, don't underestimate the higher-ups, Blue. Yes, chief. Oh, George, what do you want? Back already? Wow, the chairman sure has power. He wasn't kidding when he said the provincial police chief from this town is part of the family. Ha, team leader, don't get me too excited. I'll take care of my own issues, thank you. We just need to follow your lead. You're the only one who's navigating the waters amongst us fools. All we have to focus on now is the objective scores. On that note, team leader, I think we found the most important clue to increasing our performance within the case. Go on. Abandonment can only be applied to a person who has legal or contractual obligation. Did you know the bait pickpockets can't resist? Drunk people. Yep, I'm talking about stealing from the intoxicated. For thieves, muggers, robbers, etc., drunk people are an irresistible target. If we don't get a call for help, we're not obligated to protect the drunk stumbling about or sleeping on the street, right? Oh. And that's my point. First we go to a spot full of bait, cast a line, wait for the float to jiggle a bit, and reel in the criminals. It's not even fishing. It's taking a fish out of the fridge and finding a gold coin in its mouth. Oh, George, you're a card. Investigations must be carried out efficiently and effectively. Never a truer word spoken. So here it is though. Here's the big reveal. So we say non-indictment in the Donald God case. So we again didn't indict anyone, so we go down. We lose some hit points, damn it. And our defense goes down. So Hans Dutch dropped the case. Fine. So it was the right thing to do, but right thing to do, but we don't win any favours. Are we linear? We're just straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. I think I would like to do that one again. I might do it off camera, because I think that I wonder if there's a way you still record the cause of death as hypothermia, because then we would have unlocked that. We would have proven that he understood the risks. Well, that went a little bit better than the last one. Thanks for watching, and we will continue to weave this tangled web in the next episode. Catch you then.